hello. All right. Yes, we are back in a different, well, not different location, but different today. But we're back into one of the other ones that we have found works with the windows slightly cracked, open, what have you. And of course, traffic, and then the occasional siren, the occasional what have you. And so I'll mention that. That way you all know ahead of time. If you do hear any of that, that's why. But we're trying something new. Also, we've got a device that should keep the thing cool enough, and we're about to find out. So I want to say thank you all to you, for your understanding as we continue going live from the car office to test these things out, because you just don't know. We've got new, chosen ones. We are problem solvers. And so this is another one. Okay, yes, that was my chair readjusting, but we want to remember that we are problem solvers. So we're going to get up here and we are resilient. We're going to get up here and we're going to keep trying stuff out to see what works. And if this doesn't work, we'll try something else. It's not, I believe this is it because it's funny. I'm going to share with you all real quick as the notifications go out that, a lot of times when we're looking for a solution, how God prepares us for things. He prepares us ahead of time. And as we have been obtaining fans in the room for better circulation, there's one that is like rechargeable and portable. And I said to myself, really? Because I started looking up to go get another fan. And God's like, look at what you have around you. Look at what you already have. So there's one thing for you all right there. Tip number one. You are looking for a solution to an issue or whatever. All right. God says, look at what you already have. Because a lot of times, you may not realize it, but you already got the solution right there in front of you. God has already had you get it. It's right there. And so let me go ahead and pull up this and do our typical check. If you hear that in the background, right there in front of you. God has already had you. There you go. All right. Yes, hello, LaTanya. Hi, Chris. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. But yes, we do. We have to unlearn narcissistic habits, and along with that is we have to unlearn some narcissistic thinking. This is not going to resonate with everybody, but chosen one, we understand what Jesus means by pulling the beam out of our own eye. Okay, we got to recognize the moot in our own eye. Now, as you'll hear about elsewhere, let me be clear. We all, before God awakened us to the narcissism and all of that, we all were influenced. Because we didn't know anything else at the time. We were socially influenced by narcissists. We were lied to by narcissists. We were taught things by narcissists. Come on, our whole lives. Because it is a narcissistic matrix that we have to navigate through, right? Yeah, the matrix, the upside down world. And so it teaches a lot of things wrong. And so we did develop some narcissistic thinking patterns, some narcissistic habits that we picked up because of that social influence. So now, as part of our transformation by the renewing of the mind, Romans 12 verse 2, this is something that we must go through. So if you're probably hearing the traffic, you might be hearing the little fan that we have in the background. So I want y'all to take a moment as part of your reassessment. Okay, remember how we have to do the decluttering and realignment, right? We have to reassess things that we have on hand. Okay, are they serving a purpose? Still serving a purpose? Or has it already served its purpose? And it's done. Do we need to get rid of it? I am trying to determine whether or not. Okay, no. See, that was from outside. Y'all gonna hear some outside stuff. Okay, y'all gonna hear some outside stuff. Yeah, nice breeze is going. Okay, yeah, that's basically what we got going on here. We got a nice breeze going. All right, and to keep that phone cool, you got that right. And okay, so we've got a. Okay, there we go. Now I know y'all don't say anything. I got it. Okay, don't say anything. I got y'all. Okay, I got you covered. When I spot that we've got a narcissist in the chat, it takes a second, but we take care of it. Right? But we chosen one. We must unlearn narcissistic habits, and part of that is narcissistic thinking patterns. Because I'm going to share a story with you all. Because I didn't even realize that it was something I had to unlearn. So this is going to be for y'all. All y'all. Okay? No, Cindy, no. The narcissist that was in the chat. Okay, whenever somebody goes into the chat and they just start typing a bunch of mumbo jumbo and it don't even make sense, then yeah, they're gonna get banned real quick and their comment deleted. Okay? But yeah, we just ignore them. I take care of it. They get banned real quick. Because I know Jezebel will be checking in. Because Jezebel want to see if her handiwork is paying off. Guess what? I already caught on to you, witch. I sure did, you Jezebel. I figured out you bruised my thyroid. Ha! Didn't think I was going to know about that, did you? All right, everybody. Listen up. We have to unlearn narcissistic thinking. Okay? We have to unlearn narcissistic thinking. And as part of that, it stems from years, okay? So that's why I want to share with you all a real world example, because I did not realize that that's what was happening subconsciously with me. Because for those of you who don't know, I enjoy cooking, yeah, okay? And so we got those cooking, by the way, thank you for your patience as I go through this short season, because I had to do this before I can give y'all any more updated cooking demos on Patreon. God needed me to do this. Because what I had done is I had too many spices. I had way more spices in that cabinet than necessary. I just didn't know that. Because of my upbringing. Because of the narcissistic social influence. The Jezebel that gave birth to me was a hoarder. And hoarding is not always out there for you to see in plain sight. Hoarding can be behind the cupboards. Hoarding can be behind cabinets in the kitchen. Okay, hoarding can be hidden in closets. Hoarding can be hidden under the bed. Okay, so you have to be mindful of that. And so the Lord said, I need to take a look. And so he had me redo. I had to redo the spice cabinet. Thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up. And right, it is, yes, it's nice to stay unbothered and no need to apologize. A Patreon app for the TV, you know, give it time, Cindy. Give it time. Patreon is still coming out with updates and things like that. Okay, Patreon is still. Just give it time. I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure that's coming. They've come a long way. But hoarding includes, well, yeah, hoarding on the spiritual side, yeah, hoarding includes the internal negative emotions and things like that. But I'm talking about in the physical with narcissistic patterns and habits that we must break. And that's what God revealed to me, because I was sitting there going, wait a minute. I said, why did I feel I had to have all those? I ended up having to toss several of them because I don't use them. I said, why did I buy these? I said, why did I buy those spices anyway? And so God reminded me, he said, well, think about what did I grow up around? Yeah. I grew up around the narcissist who had pantries just jam-packed. I mean, a whole shelf of nothing but a bunch of spices. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, okay, so how many of those spices did she not ever use? Quite a few. But I wouldn't think of it at the time. But a whole shelf full of all kinds of different spices. Because she cooked, right? A lot. She cooked a good bit. And so I naturally followed suit. I like to cook. Sure. But there are only a select few of spices that I need even to make my own Mexican spice. I only need maybe 5 different spices. And those spices can be used interchangeably to make other dishes. And I probably had 20 plus spices in that little cabinet. I didn't need that many. So yeah, we had to narrow it down big time. And I was like, wow, I was hoarding spices. That's the narcissistic habit and thinking, because we're going to cook. So I go to the store and maybe I get this spice and I use it one time because that's what the dish called for. Then I don't use it again because it's not something that I would make on a regular basis or something that I would need, like garlic powder. Garlic powder, always. I use garlic powder in almost everything I cook. So that makes sense to have that. And so it's all about, wow, I have to think now, this is how we unlearn narcissistic habits. We have to think about what makes sense now. What is making sense? What do we use? Versus what's just sitting there collecting dust, for lack of a better term. And I was like, wow. And I mean, wow, because I said, oh my gosh, yes, I grew up with one who, every time you turn around, the spice cabinet, spices galore all the time. And I said, wow, wow, and not just with spices, but dishes. And then I thought about all the appliances in that previous house, some of which never got used. And then other things, like coffee cup, like the cabinet had to be completely full. And then I remember something about narcissists. You know, they had that internal void. And so they're always trying to fill that internal void with external things. And so if there was a space in the cupboard or what have you, it bothered them. They didn't like to see a hole. You know, like those of you who have cats that have done this. We had one that used to do this. She would not eat the food in her bowl if there was a hole in the middle of it. She would not do it. You had to fill the... No, she wouldn't know to move that food from the edge to the... No. You had to... She would meow at you until you filled that hole up with food. Even though there was food around the edges. That's how narcissists are. They cannot handle an empty space. And so it's like, oh my gosh, wow. But see, empty spaces don't bother chosen ones. It really doesn't. It's just, why was I feeling the need to fill up all of that in the cabinet like that? Why was I feeling the need to fill up every single, like, teeny tiny little space? Why was I trying to clutter? Small spaces do not like clutter. Now, you can talk about the inside of your body, too. Your stomach is only this big. That's a small space. It don't like to be overburdened. It don't like clutter. So I said to myself, okay, hold on a minute. Hold on. I now know where I got that from. So that's why I wanted y'all to learn this. Because our whole life, we won't think about the things that we've been influenced by if we're still being distracted, right? If we're still being pulled off in every direction. If we're still being dragged into chaos and drama. You know what I'm saying? We won't notice these things that we've been influenced by. We won't notice the, oh my gosh, I've been overbuying on spices. I don't need all these. And when it comes time to replace one, okay, that's fine. But I got to make sure, I'm going to make sure I'm cooking with it. Because if I'm not cooking with it, it's got to go. It's got to serve a purpose in the kingdom of God. And so, right, that's the thing. You know, being nice and clean and organized. Yeah, chosen ones, we prefer that. But there are some things that we have to unlearn. You know, unlearning narcissistic habits that we picked up from narcissists that we've been around our entire life. And so I just wanted to give y'all that example to help you put it in perspective. In my case, with spices, I got to thinking, wow. And so now I'm like, okay, what else? You know, what else? Well, utensils was the one prior to this. Yeah, I've already done 1, 2, oh my gosh, I've done about 3 downsizes of utensils from since I first got here. I didn't even realize. I was like, why did I have all those? What was I thinking? Social influence. Because the Jezebel that gave birth to me had at least 3 to 4 nice big containers on the counters full of a variety of utensils with only half that you might use on a regular basis. And then drawers. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I'm still in awe of all the things I've got to unlearn as well. Like, hold on a second. Not just because it's small space living, but hello. We want to keep the devil out of our finances, for one. But I was like, why did I do that? Well, now we know why. Because of social influence from the narcissist over the years. So, as I was alluding to early on, just because we develop some narcissistic thinking and narcissistic habits, chosen one, that's not what makes us a narcissist. You're going to hear about this, okay, in podcast and going forward, because it's so important to understand that just because we also develop narcissistic habits and thinking, it does not make us the narcissist. No. What makes a person a narcissist is the entitlement mindset, right? That spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what makes them a narcissist. Okay, just because we had narcissistic habits like that, that's not what makes us a narcissist. No, we're not a narcissist because of that, right? The narcissist is the narcissist not because of that, but because of their spiritual wickedness in high places. But also, they do that kind of hoarding because of their fear of running out, their fear of never having enough, their fear of empty spaces, because of the empty void that's on the inside of them. And they're trying to fill it with all things external. So they can't stand to see an empty space. I watched that go on. And I said, wow. I was like, I need to open this up. I said, I need to open this back up. It's just really amazing. I'm so grateful and glory be to God that I can get up here and share this real world life example with you all in my own circumstance where I got to unlearn narcissistic habits. And so that's how to is you got to be aware of it. You have to become aware of it. So how to unlearn it is ask God, talk to God, listen to Him. Okay? That biggest how to is that reassessment. What is serving? Is it still serving a purpose in God's kingdom? If it is, fine, keep it. If it's not, get rid of it. A great example is I have a tumbler that I have had for many years. And I went through another assessment with it as I was reorganizing and decluttering and getting things back in order, in a better order, where it makes sense. Like, hello, my plates. Right, dinner plate. Why were they over here in this cabinet where the coffee and the coffee pot is? When the stove and everything's over here and there's a cabinet. That's where the plates should go. That's what I'm talking about. Reorganize and make it make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to have things crisscross like that. But anyhow, unlearning that, the reassessment. And so I pulled that tumbler, down from the cabinet as I'm reorganizing. Like, what is being used in this section and what's not. Like what's not being used on a regular basis that can go on that top shelf that I don't need access to every day all the time. Because narcissistic habits would have us have these things just right there at all times, just in case. I'm like, well, I got to unlearn that narcissistic habit. So what's in this cabinet here? So we can open up some space. Yeah. All right, air circulation. Big thing here. I said, all right, so let's move the things we're not using on a regular basis. Put that at the top in that cabinet. We have a step stool that if we need it, we can get to it. And the tumbler, that one tumbler happened to be one of them. So I said, all right, Heavenly Father, is it still serving a purpose? He said, yeah. He said, when you got that tumbler, what was in it? And I said, bottled water. Yeah. Did you always put ice in your bottled water? No. Okay. That's still serving a purpose because it can still hold water even if I don't need the ice. Got it. Okay. The occasional aircraft. There goes that helicopter. Okay. And so let me get to y'all's comments here. But I'm telling you because it's so important to unlearn narcissistic habits like that we picked up. We didn't know any better. And years of conditioning, years of seeing it. So it's like an indirect social influence right there because it's not like the narcissist told us that that's what we had to do. It's just watching them do that for so many years. And so we picked it up in our subconscious that, oh, that must be the way to do things. And we realized, no, that's not. So we didn't realize, but we were a little bit of a hoarder. Just not on the outside, but the cupboard. So then I was like, okay, is there anything else that I'm hoarding on the inside, internally, spiritually, what have you? No. We're good there. So I said, oh my gosh, wow. And so now you're able to see it. That's the thing. When you start to see the abundant, Jesus said that he came so we can live and live more abundantly. Well, this is part of it. You'll start to be able to notice the things that, oh my goodness, I'm hoarding this. Why is this making any sense now? And by the way, for anyone who needs help reorganizing your refrigerator, hang tight, okay? Hang tight. We've got you covered. And so, that's it. Yeah, the only thing, well, yeah, they have a void without God because they don't have Jesus. You know, Jesus fills that void on the inside. This is another reason why we're able to go, okay, hold on a second. What are we doing that the narcissist did that influenced us habit-wise and then thinking-wise? Because here's the other thing that we have to unlearn. I need y'all, seriously. I've talked about this before, and I also need to remember this going forward. It's to not fall for every BOGO. Yeah, buy one, get one. Okay, that's spaghetti sauce. Buy one, get one. Okay, but in my circumstance, I have to think about it's just me. One jar of that spaghetti sauce will give me at least 3 spaghetti meals and a homemade pizza. Because, by the way, spaghetti sauce can serve as pizza sauce. For anybody who needs that tip, there you go. If you've got a can or a jar of spaghetti sauce and it's sitting in the fridge and you're waiting to use it on something and you're going to make a homemade pizza, don't go out there and buy no daggone separate pizza sauce. You got pizza sauce right in there. It's called spaghetti sauce. It worked just fine, tried and true. But I had to rethink some things, and stop falling for these BOGOs. That's how they get you to hoard. That's how they get you to, and then they trick you into thinking that you're saving money or that you're getting some deal with BOGO, buy one, get one. Not always. Those of us in business, we can tell you how easy it is to manipulate those numbers and trick people into believing that they're getting a deal when you're not. Okay? Yes. Yeah, we sure do. That's it right there, Cindy. Thank you. That's what we were talking about. Is that a lot of narcissists, they did not want to be without. They did. And I think a lot of that's narcissistic habit. That's narcissistic thinking. Because a lot of narcissists, I've heard them tell us this too. well, I didn't have all this when I was a kid. You know, we weren't allowed to have all this. We couldn't have all this. We couldn't afford all this when we were kids. So they use that as an excuse to put themselves in a position like that, to be hoarding so that they're not without anything. That's narcissistic thinking. That's a narcissistic habit. So yeah, right, and then there's too much and they can't find it, so they go buy more. Exactly, that's narcissistic habit. Luckily, I hope, chosen ones, that's something that we never. No, we basically will keep looking until we find it, because we're resilient. That's the difference between chosen ones and narcissists. Even though we develop some narcissistic habits and ways of thinking, we can unlearn that. Narcissists don't. They won't. Because they're so perfectly programmed by the matrix to continue doing that. And so thank you. Well, all right, when you talk about bigger kitchen, bigger cupboards, more temptation to fill them, exactly. And we're careful to stock only what we need. I'm going to tell y'all something. Those of us who are living in small spaces right now, this is why. God needs us to learn how to do this. Exactly what we're doing. To unlearn narcissistic habits, right? So that we keep things small and compact. So we're careful to only stock what we need and what we use regularly. Because that is what we're going to have going forward. Because when God gets us in a bigger house, yeah, when he gets us in a bigger dwelling, we can't lose that renewing of the mind. We can't lose that part of our transformation. For all of us who are here, unlearning narcissistic ways and narcissistic habits, by learning how to keep things stocked with only what we know we need and what we'll use. That had to go with us when he gets us in a bigger place. So that's why he had some of us in smaller spaces right now, in smaller living spaces, because he needs us to learn how to, right, it's not necessarily being frugal, but because when we stock only what we need and only what we'll use, you'll see that there's an abundance in that. Whereas if we're hoarding, right, so we got like 30, 40 spices. It looked like an abundance, but we're not using but maybe 10 of those spices. We're taking 10 of those spices and we are making multiple meals that produce leftovers, which is the abundance, but all those extra spices just look like an abundance, but you're not even using them. They're not playing a role in creating any abundance. So it's time for those to go, what we're not using. You see? Those of you who are meant to get that, you'll get it. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Because the abundance is not in the excess of what you have. The abundance is in what you need. I want y'all to put that in the comments. The abundance is in what we need, not in what we want. The abundance is not in what we want. The abundance is in what we need. Because what we need is what we'll use. And that is what we create the abundance with. The abundance of leftovers, the abundance of this, the abundance of that. Arts and crafts, what have you. So if you've got a lot of yarn, Cindy, that's fine because you're going to use it. That's what you use in your craft. That's your talents, your gifts. That's what you use for the kingdom of God to co-create, to bear that fruit. So you got a little, if you've got a bunch of that, that's fine, because God knows you're going to use it. At some point, it's not like one of them spices up there that we're just not going to, we got it because there was a space to fill in the cupboard. So we have to unlearn that. Because the abundance is in what we need, not what we want. And so, God needs us to understand that. God needs us to learn this. Those of us who are living in small spaces right now, God needs us to get this. He needs us to get this in that subconscious mind. He needs us to develop the better habits, to unlearn those narcissistic habits and stop thinking the old ways. Stop thinking that we got to fill every space in that cupboard just because there's a space to fill. We got to start telling ourselves, no, we've got what we need. And I'm going to tell y'all something. when I opened up the cupboard after reorganizing it with the spices, just what I need, he had me do that. He said, all right, I know I got a couple of new ones, but I wanted them salt-free, and I've used them before, and I like them. And so he said, okay, get those. He said, but some of these, so I want you to go through. And I said, okay, to make my own Mexican. Oh, he said, I want you to take a look, because we downsized big time. When I say big time, I mean, it looks so different. I opened up that cabinet, and I said, wow, I can actually see what I have, and it's just what I need. And here comes the abundant thinking. Everything I need to make my own homemade Mexican seasoning is right there. Okay? In the about 15 different spices. I have the chili powder. I have the cayenne pepper. I've got the garlic powder. I've got the turmeric. I've got the cumin. How about that? Very basic. I got what I need to make my own mild, medium, or hot, baby, Mexican seasoning how I want it. I got just what I need. And I can make a ton. I can make an abundance of different Mexican dishes with those 5, 6, or 7 different spices that I already have. And guess what? More abundance. Because that garlic powder and that ground sage can make my turkey sausage, ground turkey burgers. The abundance. It's in the spices that I need. Not the spices that I want, except, mind you, those couple of salt-free Mrs. Dash spices that I can use after, okay, on the after. Like, you know how you would add salt and pepper to something even after it's cooked? Okay, well, that's what those are. Not necessarily to cook with all the time, but to use after for a little extra zest if you want it. But still, I call it a need because we will cook with them too. Because see, God will grant our heart desires. He knew I wanted some of those salt-free spices. I've been having my eye on them for a while. I just didn't have the space in the cupboard to put them. So glory be to God. Like, how about that? Right? I had to unlearn the narcissistic habit of hoarding spices to make room so God could grant my heart desires, just like he promises. We dwell in the Lord and he will grant our heart desires. Glory be to God. Because I had to make room. So as we unlearn narcissistic habit and narcissistic thinking, and I had to shrink my spice cabinet down a little bit, not the cabinet itself, the show I'm talking about, so I can now create the abundance from just what I need. It made room for a couple, just 2 of those salt-free flavorings that I had my heart on for a while. Because each time I would go to the store, I would look at them and like, one of these days, we're going to find some room for you. Well, you can find room all you want to. But God stepped in and said, I got to make room. I said, wow. But he did. Granted my heart desires. It's something that simple, y'all. Something that simple. And it's beautiful. Because we got to unlearn. And that's how you do it, is you got to assess. You've got to take a look. From time to time, you have to stop what you do. Take a look around you. All right. What is still serving the purpose in God's kingdom and what is not? What is not has got to go. And now what will serve a purpose, he'll tell you. Like if it's a device, an electronic or something that you haven't used yet, but see, God get us thing, okay? He has us get thing for later as well, so don't forget that. He's all about preparing, right? That's it. All right, so, yes, you do use your yarn. That's why when I saw you said you like to keep things nice and organized, but you have a lot of yarn, there ain't nothing wrong with that because I know you use that. Okay? You've got what you need. So you're creating abundance with that. So you're going to have an abundance. And turmeric, yes, thank you. And I did. I got some black pepper for the turmeric tonic. Thank you, Cindy. All right, I sure did. I remembered when you told me that, and I forgot. Oh, that's right. So when God had me redoing and downsizing, he made sure with the turmeric that I got the black pepper to make our own tonic. So thank you. That's right. All right, and then went through a big, chosen ones, we all go through this. Buy all the equipment without starting the business, and you are left with a lot of redundant stuff. Well, that's the other thing. That's part of unlearning. That's a narcissistic mindset, is you tried to get ahead of God. See, that's part of it. We have to unlearn that. And so, thank you for sharing, because there's a lot of y'all. We all can relate to that in some ways in throughout our lives, where we might have done something like that. Okay, where we might have, and it's human, where we had this idea, and so we went out, because I've done that, not necessarily for a business or what have you, but for something else. Yeah, it includes buying spices that I never used. Go figure. Okay. But I had an idea, but it never manifested into anything. I had the spices, but I don't have the space to put anything else that would go with it, you see. The only spices, the curry and a few, okay, that's fine. We got ourselves some curry as well. And so, there, Chris, you identified your homework, hoarding envelopes and bags. That you think okay, that's part of the narcissistic habit. There's somebody around us throughout our life that used to do the same thing, that would hoard those, thinking, because they probably made the statement, well, I'm going to hang on to this because I might use it later. Oh, that is narcissistic thinking right there. All right, here's how to overcome that. All right, here's how to overcome that right here, right now, for all y'all. Okay, when you're hanging on to things that you think, because that's the thought that goes through our mind, isn't it? Okay, so we have this. And we're like, all right, let's say this empty bottle right here, right? All right. Well, I'm going to hang on to this because I might need to use it later for what? I don't know, protein shake, who knows, right? And so we start hoarding up a bunch of empty bottles, but we end up not using them. Well, we got that. We were influenced by that way of thinking by a narcissist somewhere throughout our lives, and multiple narcissists, because that's how they are when they start hoarding. Okay, so they'll have some extra of Tupperware or extra of this, and they're like, well, I'm going to hang on to this because I might use it later. So you would hear that a lot, right? Or I'm not going to throw that away because I might use that later. But the key word is might. So here's how you overcome the keeping things you think you might use later. Is you stop, bring it to the present. Bring it into the present. Part of that reassessment. Bring it into the present. Go, hold on a second. All right. This bottle of water is empty because I finished drinking the water that's in this bottle. Okay. Using common sense and logic, hanging on to this bottle, so I might use it later. Why? When I have a 12-pack of more bottled water. So if the time comes, knowing that I'm going to have another empty bottle relatively soon, why am I keeping this one? If I know I'm going to finish another bottle of water, but I don't really need to use it for anything right now in the present. But let's say a few days passes by and I decide that I want to put a protein shake in an empty bottle. Well, guess what? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to finish a bottle of water that day. Oh, now I have the empty bottle. Now I'm going to use it right then and there to make a protein shake, and then we're good. That's just one of many examples. That's how you overcome that narcissistic thinking, that narcissistic habit. Hanging on to things, thinking that you might use it later. That's trying to get ahead of God, That's trying to get too far. You got to bring it back to the present. You got to live in the present. You got to live in the here and now. That's all part of what Jesus also means. Do not worry for tomorrow. We have enough evil to deal with in today. We have enough evil to face with and contend with today. And unlearning the narcissistic habits and thinking is a big one. Okay, that's enough to deal with in one day. That's how you overcome that. Is you start, change that thinking into the present. So with your envelopes, okay, used envelopes, right? You opened up the mail, you got what you need, you've got that envelope. Okay, exactly what do you think? Start thinking about what you might use that for later. If nothing comes to mind, then you can put it in the trash. Wait a minute. Okay, so instead of thinking, I'm going to hang on to this, I might use it later, how about change that thinking into, hold on, I'm going to hang on to this. All right, well, what am I going to use it for right now? In the present, what can I use it for right now? Because I've done that with file folders, binders. Oh yeah, when I was going through reorganizing and decluttering my office space, that's a big one right there. What am I'm hanging on to this because I think I might use it later. Wait a minute, I had to change that thinking. That's why I'm passing that along to y'all, how to change that thinking so that you're not hoarding things that you might use later. Change it into the present. Wait a minute, is there something I can, just like I did with this bottle of water, am I going to put a protein shake in it right now, or at least today? Do I need this to put now I have a protein shaker, but I'm using it as an example. What if you don't have a protein shaker? Guess what? There you go. If you have a funnel and protein powder, put the funnel in there, protein powder, water, or if you have a bottle of water, drink some, funnel, protein shake, boom, 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 out the door. Okay? Anyhow, same concept, into the now, that envelope. You open that envelope, you got the letter, you got the mail, whatever it is, you got it out, it served its purpose, you know what it is, whether you keep it or not, junk mail, what have you, okay, you did what you needed to do with what was in the envelope, but you're like in your mind, because it's a habit, you're saving it because you might use it later. Change that thinking, wait a second, what can I use it for now? Look around your dwelling. Is there anything in the here and now that can serve the use of that envelope? If you're drawing a blank, there's the trash can, because 9 times out of 10, what you're going to do, you're going to get you some mail again, at least in a couple days. You'll have another used envelope to unlearn that thinking. All right, same thing. If you go, well, I might, hold on a second. And before long, you'll be like, in the present, is there anything I need this envelope for right here, right now, at some point today? I mean, hey, you can hang on to it for a few hours. You might come up with something. But if the end of the day rolls around, that envelope is still sitting there empty, there's the trash can, okay? That way you're not hanging on to something that you might use later when it really needs to be thought. You need to think, am I using it in the here and now? Now, it's okay to stock up on toilet paper, paper towels. We're not talking about that because I don't know about y'all, but I'm not running to the store every other day for a roll of toilet paper. Or at least every 2 days. I'm just not. Okay? No. Alright? But common sense, okay? That's what it's all about right there. How to unlearn narcissistic habits and narcissistic thinking. Right there. It's that you just have to, you got to think. You got to think outside the box. You got to take the time to stop and think. Okay? Okay, there you go. All right, in your mind, saving the planet a little from extra unwanted trash. Let me tell y'all something about saving the planet. Listen, we can do our part, okay? But let me let you in on a secret. The planet doesn't need saving. Let that sink in. The planet doesn't need saving. Souls are what needs saving. And only Jesus saves. We can do our part, yeah, stay clutter-free, keep things clean, sure, but the planet doesn't need saving. God got that under control. Remember that. Okay, the planet does not need saving. God has that under control. And they're really good quality. Well, okay. You need to go to Hoarders Anonymous. All right. Let me see if I can work something out for y'all at CHA Academy. Hoarders Anonymous 101. Hey, we all have a little bit of that narcissistic habit, okay? We do. And so we're unlearning it together on this journey. Oh, glory be to God. And so, nice to have a private chat group. Well, I would tell you, in order for us to have a private chat group, we do have that at the Academy, okay? We do have that at the Academy, in the Academy forum for just us, for those who enroll and things like that. But for YouTube, okay? Now, I can turn public chat off, but here's the thing. Until we have enough subscribers to the YouTube channel for me to qualify to offer a YouTube membership, then the chat, live stream chats are going to be public. Ah, yes. When I'm able to offer a YouTube membership, once I meet the criteria for subscriber count, and I'm going to tell y'all, it's pretty high. It's pretty high. In order for me to qualify for a YouTube membership to offer that to you all, to the channel, the live chat are going to be public. Once I can offer you all a YouTube membership for the live stream, then I can turn them off publicly and have them on privately for members only. So for now, private chat can go on. Patreon as well. Patreon does offer a chat feature. So if you are not interested in a course or CHA Academy, it's not on your agenda in this season, Patreon offers chat. And we're now able, it's been about a month or so, but we're now able to see the chat, group chat, on the computer for Patreon. Now, I know, Cindy, you said for Patreon it'd be easier on the television, but they also have an app for the phone. Patreon has an app for the phone, and we can access the chat feature through the app on the phone as well for Patreon. So there's another option for a private chat. And for the CHA Academy to be an app, you all, that cost me extra, and I just don't have it right now. I don't have it. We have plenty of other options. But yeah, you can log into, CHA Academy from the phone too, right on the website. You don't have to have an app. Yeah, you can. I've done it many times to upload video lessons and things right from the website on the phone. No, I didn't have to have the app. But PC, but I mean, there's ways around that resistance. Y'all, send me an email. Okay, send me an email if you want some how-tos to get around that resistance. Yeah. Okay, knit and work while you listen. I got that. Okay. You like the bigger screen. Hey, I totally get you. And so, yeah, this is a journey of self-discovery right here. Narcissist, yeah, okay, a lot of that narcissistic habit and narcissistic thinking was instilled in us chosen ones. Yeah, because through that guilt tripping, thank you, Cindy, that's a great point. They sure did. They guilt tripped us into doing a lot of things that are of a narcissistic habit, because they guilt tripped us into doing it, and so it became a habit for us, and so now we have to unlearn a lot of that. So this really is big part of the self-discovery journey right here. Absolutely, and I totally understand big devices versus small devices as far as preference. So, yeah, they're guilt tripping us for their own control, absolutely. So now we continue to unlearn that. And so everybody, there you go. I'm looking at the clock. I know it's been almost an hour. And so we're doing very well here. I believe we may have a solution here. Like I said, you hear the small fan going, and it's just like a nice breeze. Okay, there we go. Oh, on your living room wall. Okay, awesome, Cindy, awesome. All right, thank you for sharing. All right. Yeah, I mean, I know it's almost over too soon, because this is an awesome topic to talk about for all of us who are unlearning a lot of ways, but going through that purging season. Let me tell you, it's ongoing. All right, so I just need y'all to keep on keeping on, and let's not forget that I'm gonna bring it. We're gonna talk about this more going forward. So many things to discover about ourselves and to unlearn, and we're doing it together. That's the beauty here in this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. And so, stop listening to the news. Oh, let me tell you, yes, a lot of things become clearer when you don't have that clutter, huh? Small spaces don't like clutter. Drop that in the comments, even on the replay, y'all. Small spaces don't like clutter. Bingo. All right. So as part of decluttering, we are unlearning old mindset. We are unlearning old habits. We are unlearning narcissistic habits. We are unlearning old belief systems. We are being transformed by the renewing of the mind, so that we can do that which is the acceptable and perfect will of God. Romans 12, verse 2. Glory be to God. I'm sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you in Jesus' name. Amen.